it's Alexa, founder and creator of Wishbeads, and I am so excited because my dear friend Billy Goldberg is on the podcast today. Hi, Billy.
Hi, Alexa.
Oh my God, I am so excited. One, for two reasons. Well, three reasons. One, you're awesome, and I adore you, and we need to catch up. Okay, but the second is I love this idea of talking about entrepreneurship, which you and I are very kindred spirits about. And I also am curious about men and wishing. So many juicy topics here.
There's a lot.
So welcome to the podcast and thank you for joining me.
Thank you. It's so nice to talk to someone named Alexa and not have them answer back in a monotone that they can't find something.
I know. Don't even get me started, Billy. It is actually a nightmare. When I call people, I have to wait because inevitably what will happen is they'll say, "Hey, Alexa," and then I pause. And then I have to wait for them to say, "No, turn off Alexa, turn off Alexa." And literally, even my parents, really? I'm like, change the name, please. But yes, it's true.
The curse of having the most famous name in the world right now.
I know, but I will say this. I think you may have heard me say this before, but the name Alexa is the name that it means defender of mankind. So this is actually a really good thing that all these people over and over are saying, "Alexa, Alexa," because I think the planet needs some defending.
I would say so. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my goodness. So Billy, you have been an amazing, amazing supporter of mine from obviously my days of creating online courses and just building my own businesses, but really since the beginning of Wishbeads. And I cannot tell you how fun it is to jump in the sandbox with like-minded people who are smart, savvy, who have the experience, and be able to ask really honest questions about what do I do? And I'm working on this, and should I get funding? And how should I handle manufacturing and all this stuff? So thank you so much for just being that sounding board.
Well, I've always been a fan of yours and the passion that you have for all of your projects. So happy to be here now to talk further.
Yeah. So, we were just chatting about how I built this, and your daughter listens to it. I love how I built that. It's Guy Raz. You can listen to the podcast, How I Built This, and hear the stories of entrepreneurs building their dreams and really hugely successful entrepreneurs. But what I love when I hear those stories, and maybe you feel the same way, is that all of them begin with that idea of I had this idea and then I had no idea what I was doing. And I just took one step after another. And I feel like the conversation about wishing that I'm really excited about right now is the idea of wishing, action steps, and as it relates to goals, really tangible goals that you have, whether it's personal goals or business goals. And how do you see that, as a mentor? It's a business mentor and a consultant, but even as a dad, you've got those two incredible daughters, and saying how do you wish, and then wish, but not just the stuff of fantasy, but really wish and take action. So
it's really difficult for us to conceive of the idea that you can wish for something and have sort of the universe, if you will, take care of itself while also taking action. When we were told all growing up, just action, 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 and just keep moving forward. And it's really hard as a father of daughters to try and teach that to my two girls. But I think Deepak Chopra actually sums it up really, really nicely in this simple equation that I try to apply to my life, and I teach it to and work with it when I'm consulting and advising clients.
Here, I'm going to move this back just a little bit because it gets a little hot. Okay.
Intention equals attention plus detachment.
Wait, let's say that again.
So I'll repeat it again. And again, it's not mine. This is from Deepak Chopra, but it makes so much sense. Intention equals attention plus detachment. So if you apply it to wishing and Wishbeads, which is your amazing company, the intention is the wish. What is it that you want? The attention is what actions do I need to take to make it easier for that wish to happen?
Yeah.
And then can I just let go
Yeah.
and be present and mindful about where I am, be thoughtful about what I'm doing,
Yeah.
but not so attached to every move. And I think that sort of, again, equation, if you will, gets you the results that you want.
Oh, super good and so true and so spot on. And it's such a weird dance, especially if you're someone who is very driven and you have desires and goals and you like achieving things, to have that moment where you can let it go and receive. And it's funny, if you just picture that open hand, it's a relaxed open hand, and that's actually when you can receive things. And I feel that when you are in that relaxed space, you're literally looking up, you're noticing around you the details, you're making time in your calendar to connect with friends. You are in a place where you're more in the dance of life, not just in the doing,
Absolutely.
but in the dance. And it's funny, I will tell you, even though I live this, I promote it, I'm building a company around these very notions as a business owner and a mom and, whatever, a very full life, it is a constant reminder. And this year, this fall, like when we're recording this, it's actually just September in 2019, I have intentionally put play into my calendar. And after so many years, I have signed up for a pottery class.
Fantastic.
And I'm super excited. I want to do it forever. And I'm doing like a songwriting workshop for fun. And I just know that even just making time, like my thing is like, if it's not on the calendar, it's not real. And that, making some really smart strategic moves to like hire more people for my company, like less like caught up in every single detail all the time, and more of the allowing, the letting go.
It's so important. In fact, for me, it's so important whenever I have shirts made or any kind of clothing made, instead of getting monogrammed, I have them put "trust the process" in my shirt. So it's hard to see on a podcast, but
that is so
the inside of my
fancy.
shirt says "trust the process," and it reminds me every morning as I'm putting on my superhero outfit to go to work that the most important thing I can do is be in the moment and trust the process.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's super cool. Have your shirts made. It's so dapper, Billy. Wow.
Fancy.
It's very fancy. So the other thing, when I started Wishbeads, you read a lot of business advice of like, really know your target market and be very, 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 clear and focused. And so I launched the company with just women's bracelets because I figured it's bracelets, it's jewelry with intention. And then I got a lot of questions about like, well, what are men's styles? And so much to my delight, while we do offer 3 styles that are larger, I want to hear about, just from a male perspective, about where we are with this idea of wishing as men.
Sure.
I mean, I think that there's a very, like, we don't talk about this a lot out there, and I want to hear your take on it.
Sure. Well, first of all, in terms of men's styles, I'm wearing one now, but oftentimes I'm even wearing 2 wish bead bracelets. So I actually do like the product. In terms of men wishing, society has done a lot to kind of screw up what men do, how men think, how men behave. And I think it has led to some bad things that men do and bad things that men think and bad things that men behave. But there is an opportunity for us all now to shift that mindset and to shift what society thinks that men should be doing. And should is probably not the right word, but how men can demonstrate
You can back up a little.
how men can demonstrate different thought patterns and different beliefs that can actually transcend what's going on in the world today. So very happy to be talking about wishing, and I think that it can go back to what we talked about before, which is intention. Your wish is your intention. So now, rather than just saying, I want to be this, or I want to make this, or I want to do this by this, we can say, this is the kind of person that I want to be. This is the kind of intention that I want to set, and be thoughtful about what we're doing and thinking about what actions can I take now to get there? And then what can I put in place? What processes can I put in place to let them just happen on their own? Because I think systems and processes are sometimes more valuable than the goal themselves, right? So
Yeah, the journey.
Can we enjoy the journey? Can we trust the process like we talked about before, and set up things? Okay, I want this to happen. What needs to happen? What do I need to do to make that happen? I guess is probably a more articulate way of saying it. And then what can I just sit back and watch, and how can I just manage my energy? I think the way to a successful ending to an intention in action, I think in theory, is that intention plus attention. Intention equals attention plus detachment as sort of a theory. And then Wishbeads, the way Alexa works with her product and her company, where you actually set that intention and put the energy in motion. How does that translate then into the real world? Well, I think any successful outcome comes from this 3-step process, which is 1, your intention, determining what you want. 2, setting up the systems and the processes, putting that wish into motion.
Even if it's that little bit of wish work, just do the wish
Right.
work, just be guided.
What needs to happen to what is the process for that? And then the third thing, which Alexa alluded to, being more playful, how do you manage your energy so that you can manage those processes?
Yeah.
So is that taking a songwriting class, or being more playful, or just doing things that find you being more joyful,
Yeah.
or working on your health,
Yeah.
right? So that you can manage the process. It's that 3-step thing. And I think a lot of us do that unconsciously, but if you think about it, that really is what works.
Yeah. And I'm the mom of 2 boys, and I think that, and I'm also like now in the world of retail with men. And it pains me a little bit when you go to shop for men, because I'm like shopping for boys and I'm shopping for my husband and whatever, and my dad and whatever. But the idea of like, you have 3 choices. You have booze, you have golf, and you have like ties. I mean, it's the weirdest thing. But if you really looked at the categories of ways that we are marketing things for men, it's kind of ridiculous. And I mean, no offense to my awesome retail partners, but I think we can do better by our men, and saying that wishing and intention setting isn't just, it's not new agey hoo-ha or overtly feminine, is that all of us inside of us have feminine and masculine. We all do. And that idea of making a wish is not frivolous, is not so new agey that it doesn't pertain to you, and that this dance between wishes and goals are a little bit synonymous. But if you don't stop your busy life of doing and allow yourself that moment to just see if everything was amazing, what would that look like? That's where your intention comes from. I am tending to create this life for myself. And then just write it down, or just wear it as that reminder. Like, as you said, with your clothes, to have that visual reminder, just to trust, to let go, to be present, to be whatever. And I think that it's just a shift that hopefully we're making as a society in this new conversation of what does it mean to be a woman? What does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be whatever you're determining you are? And the curiosity is really the key here, just to be open to that experience. And so anyway, I'm very intentionally opening myself up to, what does that conversation look like with men? And so that, because I think women are like, they when they see Wishbeads, are like, oh my God, I love this. Like, it's the perfect gift. It's, they're right there, ready to dive in. And men, I'm happy to say, have responded really strongly to doing it as well, which is cool.
Yeah, I think there's a shift happening, like you mentioned, and it really is semantics, the difference between goals and wishes and intentions. And men traditionally, in a business setting, think of goals and something to strive for and achieve. So it's there in the DNA. It's just shifting the perception. And one of the things that I do with my consulting clients is pulling them out of the office and having them get quiet to really think about, okay, where are we? What do we want to have happen? And so it's a little bit of a shift from just a black and white goal to a little bit of an intention and being more thoughtful about what is right for their business, what is right for them, what is right for their supply chain, what is right for their end user, which is the most important piece.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, when you have obstacles, like everybody does, like challenges, whether it's business goals, or even like, I'm not asking you to share your wish, but like when you have those challenges, what is your sort of approach to how do you view your obstacles? Because inevitably they're going to come up, even with Wishwork, even with holding an intention, this idea of wanting to bail or to give it up or whatever. What is the advice you give yourself?
Well, since I am a man, I use sort of a more traditionally male analogy, but it obviously works for everyone. But since we were drawing the distinction before, if you go to the gym and you work out with weights that are too low for you and you don't have any resistance, you don't get any better and you don't get any more fit. So can we, depending on what that obstacle is, break it down into really its purest form? What is our resistance here? Is it a psychological obstacle that we need to change our mindset around, or is there a different answer? But let's get through this thing. Let's work with it to make what we intended to happen.
Yeah. And plus the resistance that's the juiciest bit.
Yep.
I mean, where you are in resistance. And I was actually sharing something that I was kind of resisting in my own business. And for whatever reason, when I sit down to really strategize about my marketing, that is actually the part that is the trickiest bit for me to really just articulate some game plan. It's the funniest thing that like, I'll do it in so many other capacities in my life and my work, and just be like, oh, here's what we need to do. Let's make some decisions. And for whatever reason, there's some resistance there. And that's where I get to go in and do some self-discovery. And you're awesome about that. You're awesome about owning like self-discovery. And that is incredible because most people, I'm making a gross generalization here, but when there is some sort of resistance, then there's running away, or there's just like, oh, I'm just going to distract myself with some activity. And I feel like we're in a place in society where we just can't afford to do that anymore. That the things that we want, the intentions that we have for our country, for the world, for the planet, for humanity, it has to begin with us. So when we can identify and make some shifts, some discoveries, some behavioral changes with ourselves, we are actually part of the solution. It's not just this thing that we can be upset about, but we can do something about it. And so I think it's exciting.
Well, that's what's exciting about the startup culture that has popped up over the last 25 years, and the innovation and the entrepreneurial mindset of so many people, that there's a recognition that we can start to shift these patterns. There's a recognition that those obstacles are things that we can work with instead of avoid. And it's a really exciting time. Yeah.
You know, a friend of mine was just sharing with me a story, and she was, she's my age, and she was working, it was at work, but she was working with someone who is much younger, and she was from another country. And my friend started to ask her questions about growing up in this other country, and this younger person started to get very offended, like started to act very shut down and they discussed it after the fact. She was like, what's going on here? Now, my friend is one of those people that you love hanging out with because all she does is ask questions. She loves asking about your life and background. She asks questions because she's genuinely curious about people. But because they were working together in an extended way, and she felt this dis-ease between them and something weird had happened, she confronted her about it or asked her about it and said, "Did I say something that offended you?" And this younger person said, "Well, I really felt that you were judging me based on where I was from," which was, of course, really not my friend's intention. And she made a very astute comment back to her and said, "How are we going to get to know one another person's culture, unless we ask questions? And if we're too afraid to ask questions, then how are we ever going to come together in our shared experiences or know about one another?" And to me, like, this light bulb went off of just where we've lost our common sense. Just our common sense. We've grown so sensitive, so overly sensitive, that the lenses by which we're seeing the world are ready to judge, and it's putting us in such a worked up place that we're forgetting common sense. And I would like to think that someone wearing their Wishbeads, their intentions on their wrist, is this reminder to just be like, oh, wait a minute, what do I want? Oh, wait a minute, what's important to me? Is it important to me? Is sitting down and watching the news every night at 6 o'clock and getting worked up and angry, is that choice moving me closer towards my desired intentional state where my wishes come true? Is whatever those choices are, and getting, like, just making some common sense things. That's going to be a big thing that I'm going to talk about in the weeks and months to come. Common sense.
And if you can apply that common sense to human interaction, like you just described, then that's the perfect marriage. Yeah.
We will all be in a better place.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So what are you excited about, just to wrap things up, about your wish for the next chapter in your life? Do you want to talk about a little bit about that?
I think that we've talked about it this whole time, which is helping shift the way people think about what they're doing.
Yeah,
right?
true.
And so the entrepreneurs and the executives that I work with, it all comes down to taking your nose off the grindstone for a little bit and getting quiet with yourself before a major change, and really think about really what is the desired outcome here.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important that we get quiet every day and have some form of meditation, whatever that means to you. And that could be a songwriting workshop or actual meditation. But we also have to get quiet in a very intentional way every once in a while for an extended period of time. And that's, as I mentioned before, why I pull these entrepreneurs and executives out of their office, and we just start with a clean whiteboard and talk about what's next.
Yeah.
And so my intention is to help more of those kinds of people get out of their own way.
Yeah, absolutely. And do it in that holistic way. So it's not just numbers. It's not just returns. It's not just about growth. It's about who are you in all of that.
But I will tell you that if you handle who you are and all of that, the numbers will be there. We've seen incredible transformations in people's numbers if they focus on what is traditionally known as sort of the soft stuff.
Yeah, the soft stuff.
Yeah.
The soft stuff.
Which is really the real stuff.
It's the real stuff. And it also it is what makes life so pleasurable. And I don't believe that we came here to suffer. I believe we came to have this rich human experience that includes the moments of resistance and the hard lessons and the crazy things that you can't expect. But it's part of that dance, and it's how we respond to that dance. And then how do we draw ourselves forward? Where are we going in that map that says where are we going to go to next? So it's cool. And I so appreciate our friendship and our continued collaboration, and I appreciate this conversation.
So happy to be here. Thanks you.
Thanks for coming to the Shasta.
Sure. Happy
All
to
right.
be here.
You can find information about Billy's work in the show notes, and I continue to encourage you to have your own experience manifesting your wishes and intentions, because guess what? You deserve it. All right. See you next time.